Good afternoon. Welcome back to another episode on the See Through It podcast, episode number 6, and we are talking Big Ten football. Here we are with Bama Bo. Thank you for coming back.
Absolutely. Hey, at least the conferences are getting better every day.
Every day, we stepping up. Every day we're stepping up. Um, Today, we're talking about the Big Ten. I think a lot of my focus is going to be on the Big Ten West. I've did a lot of little homework on the whole Big Ten, but the Big Ten East is going to be pretty weak, considering that Urban Meyer is not there for this year, and don't really know too much about the new coach in Day, and with a new quarterback with Justin Fields. I was contemplating using that as a topic, but I was like, I haven't really seen much of him. Do I really want to talk about him? Georgia used him as a running piece. They didn't really use him, so we don't know.
He don't think he ever threw the football.
Yeah, so I don't know what he's going to do, so I left him off the topic. But the East, the Big Ten East, with Mike Locksley being there in Maryland, I don't know if that bolsters the East. Penn State is still Penn State. They're not the powerhouse of back in the old days. They thought they was going to get James Franklin to do that, but they're still right there in the middle. So the East, my focus right now is on the Big Ten West, and as you see, it's on the board. But right now, we're gonna talk about Jim Harbaugh and his comments about the SEC. How do you feel about those comments? Those cheaters down in the SEC.
You know what? I actually heard, and I'm going to just take this directly from Matt Wyatt, because I heard him say it on the radio a little while ago. Matt Wyatt's former quarterback, Mississippi State. He was on the radio a while ago, asked this very question, and I just thought he answered it better than any of us could. But he basically said, it's only people that aren't winning that tend to notice that. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, that's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. He was like, winning programs don't call out cheaters.
Right.
And I was like, I think that's just said better than anybody else could have, because it's the absolute truth. It's just like we were saying the other day, it's the people that are left out of the playoffs are the ones that want expansion. Mm-hmm. Same thing. Right. It's like, he's going to call out cheaters. He's not winning anything.
He's not even winning.
So he's looking for a leg up. Typical. It's just typical.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of his anyway. I think he's overrated.
When he said that, I was like, well,
He might be the most overrated, overpaid coach in college football.
Yeah, I can see, because he was talking a lot. His antics and how fired up he is. They probably paid him that much because he went to the school and he came back.
Your volume went off.
My volume went off? Oh, good call.
Can you hear me? Your volume went off.
I can hear you. Oh, you hear me now?
There you go.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, guys. Volume, I don't know what happened. But I was saying that Jim Harbaugh, he went to Michigan. So they're probably paying him all that money because he went to Michigan. He came back. And I don't see how he calls the SEC a bunch of cheaters when he hasn't even won in his own conference to see an SEC team in the playoffs. So he should definitely focus on winning the East instead of talking about the SEC. It just, when I saw those comments, I was like, wow, he hasn't even won anything. So it blows my mind that he went straight there. SEC, they're cheating.
Well, and you think about it, he could have stayed in his own conference, right? Because look at all the debacle that went on with Ohio State last year. Seemed like you might have just poked fun at your own rival if you had an opportunity. I know we would.
Yeah, that's weird that he jumped the whole region. He could have went right at Ohio State because he hasn't beaten them. He could have been like, they're cheating, they're taking all our recruits, they're blocking us and all this other stuff. He went out of conference. It blows my mind that coaches will pick on other conferences and mention them when they're not even playing them and just throw dirt on that conference name. Reminds me of that one time. Did you hear about it was a couple of years ago, the coach, he's not there anymore, Buffalo's coach in the Pac-12, was talking about the SEC, and I think that year he only won 3 games. I didn't. What is that about? Why are you focusing on the SEC? Focus on what you're trying to build in Colorado. It blows my mind. So, Jim Harbaugh, do you think they get past Ohio State this year?
You know, I would have to think people that bet would probably absolutely hate Jim Harbaugh. You know it. I mean, everybody buys into Michigan every single year, and they don't produce anything. They never produce anything. Mm-hmm. If I was a gambler, I'd stay away from Michigan. Oh, Lord. All they're going to do is do you wrong. And so, do they get past Ohio State? And I get that people think that they will because, Urban Meyer's gone and they've brought in Justin Fields. And I know you weren't going to talk much about him, but he didn't throw the ball at all at Georgia. But he was a very high recruit, right. Supposed to be a dual threat quarterback. But Ohio State's season is going to depend on him. And I don't know that he's going to get them to the promised land. That said, I still don't know if Michigan beats Ohio State. I mean, Harbaugh just can't beat them. He can't beat them. It don't matter what they do. I mean, they could roll out, me as a quarterback and probably still beat Michigan. Top to bottom, I think Ohio State's probably still a better team, and Michigan never has any offense. They have a good defense, but they're still rolling out the same quarterback, and they've got him. They've got him as like he's going to be some kind of, Heisman guy this year, but he's been in the league for 12, 13 years, and he's never done anything. He wasn't great at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I mean, Shea Patterson was not great at Ole Miss. He was 50% at best.
They're pretty high on
So they're really high on him. They are, and I'm not sure why. So until he comes out, and well, I do know a lot of it. It's because they got Josh Gaddis out of Alabama, and they think he's really going to change Shea Patterson. And, between Josh Gaddis and Mike Locksley fussing with each other about who actually called the plays at Alabama because both of them want credit, I'm sitting here not sure why anybody wants credit. I mean, that championship game was pathetic.
It was.
So I don't know if Josh Gaddis is really going to be the answer there. And if he is it going to be this year with the same quarterback? I don't think so. I just don't buy Michigan. I don't buy them to beat Ohio State. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
Well, and I know Ohio State's got a new coach, but
it doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters.
It doesn't matter.
That's just me. Like I said, I would never put money on Michigan ever. Harbaugh's so overrated.
Okay, well, since you said that, what about Notre Dame? Because before they get to Ohio State, they have to play Michigan. I mean, they have to play Notre Dame. Michigan has to line up at home in October against Notre Dame. How do you view that matchup going down? Will that be a loss number 2?
I mean, I'm not real sold on Notre Dame this year. Michigan, and like I said, they usually have a pretty good defense. Mm-hmm. Michigan's problem is offense, right? Michigan's problem is offense. But it just seems like Ohio State is the hurdle they can't ever get over.
Yep, yeah.
I'm not so sure they can't beat Notre Dame. I just don't. Listen, Shea Patterson is not a Heisman quarterback. He's an average quarterback. Mm-hmm. They do play good defense. Notre Dame is a little overrated to me. I don't know how that game plays out. Maybe Michigan wins it. Even if they do, I still think they lose to Notre Dame. Lose to Ohio State.
Lose to Ohio State. Okay.
I'd like to see them beat Notre Dame, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, since you've been on the show, a lot of people have been talking about Notre Dame, so you've definitely awoken the Notre Dame echoes. They are riled up and they're very.
I can say that safely in Birmingham.
Yeah.
I can say that safely in Birmingham, right? Yeah. I can dog out Notre Dame. Okay.
You can definitely say that safe in Birmingham. Meanwhile, while I'm in Indiana, I am being persecuted for.
That's right.
Being biased. Again, folks, I am rooting for Notre Dame to do well this season. I have Ian Book as a Heisman candidate, so I'm not being biased. I am saying Ian Book will carry Notre Dame. Be very clear. I am rooting for Ian Book to carry Notre Dame. Okay? But if
you have said that, yes.
I've said that, haven't I not said that?
Yeah,
I've said that.
you've said that.
I've said that. So there's no bias here. I'm I like to think about things rationally, and I point out things, folks. No bias. There's no bias here. So as we transition to the next topic, does Columbus, Ohio, do they still run the Big Ten?
I think so.
Yeah, you still feel that
I
way?
think so.
Yeah, it's
I mean, I do. I think the coach will be fine, and you still got the same players. Like I said, with Ohio State, they always got the talent. I just think it's going to come down to, can Justin Fields be consistent? How well can he throw the football? I mean, the Justin Fields whole saga is interesting because we saw a lot of him when he was at Georgia. Well, not a lot of him, but I mean, we know probably a little bit more about him just because he was, in the South.
mm-hmm.
But every time they would roll him out, would be on some goofy trick play that didn't work out. So the poor guy just, he was set up for a loss at Georgia. It was really kind of sad. And then they pull him out one time for like a fake punt or something, but Alabama didn't buy it for a second because it was like midfield and the quarterback's out there, the backup quarterback's out there. Nobody bought it. It was a joke. So you would just see him in goofy situations. And so who even knows how good a quarterback he is? He never got to throw the football at Georgia. I think he was supposed to be really good, but we'll see. If he comes out in Ohio State and he's able to carry the team, they'll have a good season. If he don't, then they probably do lose to a Michigan for the first time ever. Not ever, but
that'll
in a while.
That will be.
It feels like forever.
It has been forever. Ohio State has owned this region for a long. So ever since I moved up here, it's been Ohio State. Every now and then you'll get a Michigan or a Michigan State, Wisconsin, slip in and take a piece. Penn State, but for the most part, Ohio State is always near the top of the conference every year. Ohio State runs the Big Ten, and even with the departure of Urban Meyer, they still get all the talent. They still get all the talent that's in this region. All the talent. They want to go to the Ohio State University. So or the University of Ohio State. They want to go there. So if Jim Harbaugh can't turn it around in Michigan and make a statement and start pulling all those recruits from Ohio State, then Ohio State is going to run this region like they've been doing for the longest. So that answered that. Ohio State runs the Midwest and this conference. Maybe with Scott Frost being in Nebraska, maybe we see the days of Nebraska from the Big 12. Nope.
Nebraska's done. They're done forever.
Oh man, I miss those days. I miss the days of Nebraska being a powerhouse. And you already just shut that down. That's not coming back. That's not coming back. The Nebraska Cornhuskers of the Big 12 will be never again. It's a wrap.
Well, listen, the media and the talking heads want them there, but that's not the football that we all watch. What they can't tell us what we watch. We watch it. Nebraska's awful.
Yeah.
I mean, they won a few games, but my God, they're an awful football team. Scott Frost isn't going to turn them around. I mean, no, they're not back. I don't know that Nebraska will be back anytime in the near future. I'm just not buying them. I mean, I don't think they'll ever recruit the same there. I just think that it's a dead region. I hate to say that, but why would you go to Nebraska?
Yeah.
I know they want them there, but that's not the football that we watch.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So as we transition to the Big Ten West, now I made this a topic because, as you can tell, today is Thursday, and we're talking Big Ten. Tomorrow is SEC. So how I structured my top 5 conferences, I put the SEC at top for Friday because I feel like that's the best conference. The champions usually come from that conference. Now, best conference and toughest conference, that's where it gets tricky. The toughest conference this year, I feel like, is the Big Ten. For the Big Ten West, from top to bottom, they're going to be beating on each other all year long. That that conference or that division is very tough compared to the East. The East, Ohio State sleepwalks. They sleepwalk through that whole division. Michigan sleepwalks through that whole division. But when they go across to play Wisconsin, Minnesota, when Michigan plays Minnesota, they always struggle. Purdue, those games, Iowa, those games are always tough for Ohio State and Michigan and some of the other teams in the East. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're as
Which is
strong.
crazy because it's crazy.
Yeah, it is very crazy.
Now, think about it. Think about it. They're not known for physicality. Why do they struggle with those teams?
Especially when you have the talent that Ohio State gets every year, they should be able to outrun and just outrun the teams like
Just
Iowa.
outmatch them.
Yeah, they should be able to do that. Iowa, you would not think that Iowa would be able to put up the points that they put up against Ohio State. You wouldn't think Purdue wouldn't be able to hang around and take out Ohio State even at home. you wouldn't think they would be able to do that, but those teams do that. Minnesota, you don't think they would be able to hang with Michigan, but somehow they still do it. They do that every year. The battle for the little brown jug is what they call it. Michigan and Minnesota. It is always a battle. Wisconsin, their playing style is like a slow lullaby. Wisconsin playing style, and they just wear people down with their play style, and the games are ugly, but they're still in the games with the team. Well, besides the Big Ten championships a couple of times where they've gotten knocked off the map, but in season they've always held their own. So I've always felt like the Big Ten West, well, for the past 2 years, the Big Ten West is not catching, but they're trying to catch up to the SEC West. They don't have the talent yet, but it's a tough division to play in. How do you feel about the Big Ten West? Would you say it's comparable to the SEC West?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's comparable in that. I understand it's comparable with each other. I get that. Like, I get that they play each other tough, and then that's very hard for Purdue to do. Yeah. I get that. But if those teams lined up against the West, it'd be a joke, so it's hard to compare because you're talking, they're not physical. They would get destroyed at the line of scrimmage. Yeah. So they're not the same. They're not built the same. They're not built the same. And we've seen that whenever they've crossed over. Whenever Alabama has played Wisconsin, they're not even close football games. And so, yeah. But when they play each other, it's different. Yeah. It is. And you never know what team is going to slip up and give Michigan a hard game. But it's hard to say when you judge it with Michigan, because Michigan is like the Auburn of that conference. They're the most unpredictable team. I like that. They just are. You don't know if they're going to you don't know if they're going to win the game they're supposed to win or lose the game they're supposed to win. That's Michigan. That's just Michigan. So they're the Auburn, and they're always just average, but just everybody wants them to be better. Mm-hmm. So kind of not surprising that those other teams give them a hard time. But what is surprising is when a Purdue gives Ohio State a hard time, because then Ohio State turns around and beats the tougher teams. Mm-hmm. So it's a weird conference. I don't know that it's tougher. I would say it's far harder to figure out. Because I don't know how these teams compare. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. I see that. That makes sense too.
I mean, I just don't. It's just crazy because, like in our division, right? Like everybody knows that Vandy's going to get beat. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows Vandy never has any. There's never going to be any competition. There's God love them, but in that division, I think it's a little bit more. Everybody's a little more competitive in the East of that division. If that makes sense, there's probably not as big a gap.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I see that. Would you take that division, the Big Ten division, the Big Ten West division, over any other division like the Pac-12,
the ACC?
The ACC.
Yes.
Okay.
I would take them over any division we've talked about up to today.
It makes sense. Okay. Just making sure. Okay. So that's 2 points. I just want people to understand the Big Ten West. They're very tricky. They late October, November up here in this cold fall weather. It's tricky for teams. Is you coming into Iowa at nighttime, or you going in Purdue or Wisconsin or Minnesota? Those games are trip hazards.
Yeah.
Like Bama Bo just said, you don't know with those teams because like with Vandy, you know they're not gonna beat. You know, Kentucky they gonna play well, but they're not gonna beat the elite teams of the SEC. So when it comes to the West versus with Michigan or Ohio State, you you don't know if you don't know that team is just it's a weird full moon when it's 20 degrees outside and it's just a different feel. So but I do like the Big Ten West this year. I don't know who comes out of the Big Ten West. I've been flip flopping teams back and forth. I do not even know who would come out the West. I'm hoping. See, you already killed my vibe about Nebraska, but I was hoping Nebraska. I was hoping Nebraska was gonna rise from the ashes, but you managed to stump on that dream. Now I have to go and reevaluate the Big Ten West again. So
Sorry. So, that's just my little old opinion here in Birmingham. I think to me Nebraska is just dead. They're never going to be the Nebraska of before.
I wish they could go back to that triple option and maybe the big boys of the cornfields would come back to that school and get the big offensive linemen and the big running backs and make magic happen again. But I guess we're past that time of football. I guess we're past that.
Hey, Nebraska could probably get 5 wins, 6 wins this year if they're lucky.
That's what I was hoping somewhere around there and maybe a little bit more, but we'll see. We'll see. As we
They don't got anywhere to go but up.
Yeah, because last season was dismal. It was horrible. Scott Frost, I'm pretty sure he did not even sleep that whole season. That was horrible. That's not what he had planned. So you can only go up from there. So as we transition to buy or sell the Big Ten making the playoffs.
Well, I guess I'm going to kind of have to buy it considering the argument I made for him yesterday.
You buying it? Okay. And who?
No, I just think that like I said yesterday, and I do believe it. I think they want somebody from the Big Ten. I really do. I think a one-loss Big Ten guy is going to get in. Mm-hmm. Now, is that going to be Ohio State? I don't know. It all depends on Justin Fields. Is it going to be Michigan? I seriously doubt it.
Yeah, you doubt that?
Michigan.
It's not going to be Michigan, guys.
No. And I tell you what, if Michigan doesn't beat Ohio State, see, the reason they're all high on it is this is Michigan's only chance to beat Ohio State. You got to get them when they're down, right?
Yeah.
They're coming in with a new quarterback and a new coach. But I just look at it kind of like, what if Saban left? Mm-hmm. And whoever steps up into his place, look at all that talent he has just left behind. Mm-hmm. Surely you can still put together a good football team.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just still don't see it. Not till I see it on the field. I'm not going to buy Michigan. I'm just not going to buy them to beat Ohio State. So I think a one-loss Ohio State, even if they have one loss, and I don't know who it would be two.
Yeah, that schedule is set up pretty nice for a team that has a new coach and a new quarterback. I don't see them messing that up unless
they could get in. Yeah. Yeah, especially as, but then it's Ohio State. They lose to somebody they shouldn't lose to every year. So, a one-loss Ohio State, as long as they don't lose by 30, maybe they still get in.
No losses.
I just think they want the Big Ten in there. I really do. Yeah. I really think they're going to want them in there.
I definitely agree with you on that because there was the outcry that happened last year for a Big Ten team to get in, even though for some people was trying to justify that huge loss. It was like, that's all right. People lose games. No. You don't lose that game. You don't lose that game. So I think, from the scenarios that you drew up for me yesterday, and I want to save sanity. I don't want to go. I don't want these talks to be insane. So I'm hoping the Big 12, no, the Big 10 does get a team in. Because I don't want to see again. I don't want to see Boise State. I don't want to see somehow Houston or UCF or
No,
a team from the Pac-12.
no,
I don't want to see that. I would rather have a
no.
Big 10 team in there.
And all that said, Brian, even though I've sitting there dogging out Michigan and think that Harbaugh needs to be fired or cut his pay, I still would love to see Alabama play them. I
Oh,
would love to see Alabama play Michigan in a playoff game.
yeah.
I just don't think they get there, but if they did, I'd love it.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how many fans of Michigan are tired of Jim Harbaugh. Um, when I look at my
Probably the same amount of fans that are tired of Gus Malzahn.
yeah, I don't feel like he's a he's a favorite coach. He's not liked. I don't feel like they like him as much as they like the team. I feel like they're Michigan fans, so they tolerate and deal with him. Because I look at my
Yep.
timeline and I look at Twitter, no one's saying get off my coach like how they defend Nick Saban or any of these other
Yeah.
coaches. They just stand by and watch people get all on Jim, and as long as you don't say anything about Michigan, because those two are separate. You have Jim and then you have Michigan. As long as you don't say anything
Yeah.
about Michigan, you're fine. If you destroy Jim Harbaugh and they won't even bat an eye. They're like, oh yeah, well yeah, that's who we have to deal with. So I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think people really like him in Michigan. But they're paying him that money,
Well, they're tired of losing to Ohio State.
I think that's what it is.
You can't blame them.
They wanted to beat Ohio State, and they haven't done it. They have not done it. They haven't. I think they came close to one time, and that was it. And other than that, other games where they struggled in that they should not have struggled in, it's just they had some weird seasons, and I don't know if Michigan was to make the playoffs and they played Alabama, or even if they made the playoffs and they just played anyone, I think they would get crushed. I don't think he's a
They-
very good coach. I think they would definitely get crushed, and that would be the end of it. Which is sad because I want Michigan. I'm a fan of the sport, and I like. When I was younger, I loved watching Nebraska, Michigan, Penn State, Florida State, the powerhouses that I grew up watching doing good, and to see them down to where they're like, this is sad. Penn State's not the same. Florida State is horrible. Miami is like it's just weird. And then to see the coaches that they have, like that doesn't make sense for that program. These moves don't make sense at all. So hopefully Michigan will find some type of good coaching, or maybe Jim Harbaugh will wake up and knock out Ohio State and take his crown as the king of the Big Ten, maybe. So
And then we'll never hear the end of it.
we won't. We definitely won't, because he will be speaking all types of nonsense if he takes that Big Ten title. He will be speaking all types of nonsense if he takes that Big Ten title. So that would be.
Oh, it'd be rough.
That would be that is the show. That is the Big Ten outlook. We both picked. Well, I guess I'm picking Ohio State to come out of the Big Ten. I'm gonna just say that the Big Ten, Ohio State's gonna play Nebraska, even though I heard that that's not gonna happen. But I feel like Nebraska's gonna play Ohio State and make it a game. They're gonna make it a game, but your Big Ten championship, your Big Ten champion will be Ohio State, and they will hopefully punch their tickets for the playoffs. Because again, I do not want to hear anything about the American Coast Conference or American Atlantic Conference getting in, the AAC, the supposedly Big East or whatever it was. Pac-12, I don't want to see any of those teams inside the playoffs. So hoping the Big Ten does what they need to do and punch that ticket to get into the playoffs. So Bama Bo, tell everyone about your show, your live call-in show that's happening tonight.
Yeah. So Jerome from Birmingham and I are doing and thank you, by the way.
No
So
problem.
we're doing we've started a new show, and it's a live YouTube call-in show, and you can find us at the J Bo Show, which is the letter J B O show on YouTube. Subscribe there, and you can get a notification every time we're live, and we're going to do it probably 3 to 4 nights a week. Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, we're going to do 7 o'clock Central. And then Saturdays is going to be a little bit varied because of football games. But we're definitely going to be on after football games on Saturdays, just taking calls from fans. How fun is that? Just taking calls and chatting football.
Very fun. Guys,
I love to chat football.
I called into the show on Tuesday, and it was very nice. I called in, and then a young lady named Phyllis. Everyone knows, if you lived in the South, everyone knows Phyllis. She called in, and it was a rant and a rampage after my comments. But the show is a fun show. It's calling in and seeing everyone remarks to your comments, and everyone is passionate about football. So I would definitely recommend calling into the
That's
show.
the fun part. And we all have different. Yeah, we all have different ideas, Brian. Just like you have different ideas, but that's what makes it great.
Yeah.
That's what makes the fun banter and the chit chat. We love that.
Yeah. So if you want to talk football, we got some football that's coming up, and you feeling the itch, call into the show. As soon as like she said, if you go to the YouTube page, I'm gonna have to put the title up on the screen tomorrow to make sure everyone can get to it for Saturday. But find her. You can find her at Twitter, and she'll post the link on her Twitter page, and they'll go straight directly to the YouTube page and call into the show, listen, and I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. It's a great show. It's live. What more do you want? Is talking football with other fans from across the country. So make sure you tune into that. That's tonight, and stay tuned in for the Saturday live show. So again, folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Bama Bo, for doing this one.
Thank you.
Tomorrow we got the SEC, the best of the best. It's not biased. It's just a fact, people. Get over it. Get over it. Tomorrow we're talking SEC football. And then Saturday we got football games. Actually, I think there's a game tonight. There's an ACC game tonight. It's a Thursday night game, I believe. I think.
Is there one tonight?
If I'm not mistaken, unless I looked at the calendar wrong, maybe it's next week Thursday. But I'm going to have to check. But anyway, football is around the corner. Get ready. Football is around the corner. So it will be the end of the show. Again, I am your host, Brian Sells. I was just with Bama Bo. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Remember, SEC Talk. Be here. Peace.